This is the session of Miss Felicia Nugroho, Director Analytics and Insight at Maverick Indonesia, and please allow me to read her profile. Miss Felicia has emerged as one of the foremost advocates on communication measurements in Indonesia, a market that has only begun to move only away from AVEs. Her work and advocacy has resulted in clients and corporations and taking concrete steps towards using meaningful metrics to measure, evaluate, and manage their communication programs. Her work has resulted in AMEC recognizing her as one of its rising stars during its 25th anniversary award and a gold in prestigious AMEC Award 2021 for the best first steps on the measurement journey category. And please welcome to the stage Miss Felicia Nugroho.
Hello. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And it's really wonderful to be here. Ibu Prita is not here, but I'm very thankful of the opportunity to do this sharing session. Oh, Ibu. So thank you for the opportunity to share about AI and the future of PR. AI, as we know, is a hot topic. Everybody is talking about AI. And when we talk about AI, almost always we are referring to ChatGPT. Who is not using ChatGPT right now? Anyone is not using ChatGPT? Okay, not very many. Okay, all right. So ChatGPT is a form of generative AI, and I think Mr. Ambassador Kenji has mentioned that earlier on. And this is what I'm going to focus on in my talk this afternoon. So, ChatGPT was launched just a little over 6 months ago. Within 5 days after ChatGPT was launched, they attracted 100 million users. And just to give you a comparison, it took TikTok 9 months, and it took Instagram 2.5 years to reach the same number of users. So the latest data, there are now 200 million users of generative AI. And that makes generative AI the fastest adopted new technology in human history. Many businesses have adopted the technology across functions, across sectors, including PR. A research was conducted on AI in March this year among PR professionals globally. There are now 61% PR professionals using generative AI. And this number is predicted to reach 89% in the next 6 months. And how are we using it? We're using it to create stories, to do some desktop research, writing press releases, generating content, or even generating some ideas. So the future is already here. Generative AI has revolutionized PR by taking over some of the grunt work that we do on a daily basis. So what does it mean? There are so many success stories. We heard that AI, generative AI can actually do a better job at writing press releases, generating content. But I think it is also very important to understand and to be aware on some of the limitations and some of the risks that is actually involved. Take a new drug, for example. A new drug has to undergo rigorous testing before it can gets approved by the FDA, before it can actually goes out to the market. even during pandemic, with the level of urgency that we all face with COVID-19, we had to wait almost 18 months for a vaccine to be available. So just think about this. Generative AI is a new technology. It is a new technology, and it has not been tested. But we're already using it and even doing some of our work. In the meantime, on a daily basis, we generate 5 million terabytes worth of data, and that is equivalent to 5 billion gigabytes or 5 trillion terabytes of data. And these massive data sets continues to be fed into the large language model, which is the engine behind the generative AI, for it to continue to learn so they can actually get better and come out with better algorithms. So this is something that we have to be aware of when we are using generative AI, especially in our work. So this is quoting Carissa Vallis here, and she's an associate professor in New York University, in Oxford University. And she has actually written a book on digital ethics. We would never allow a drug to be sold in the market without having gone through rigorous testing. And then why do we allow algorithms that can be just as damaging and potent as drugs to be let loose into the world without having undergone similarly rigorous testing? So this is the fact, and this is something that we all have to be aware of. Yes, it's good at helping us doing our work better, but we also need to practice and to be very vigilant in using this. There are some limitations and there are some fundamental issues that I like to touch today. So the first one is the large language model that is being used. It's actually being trained on historical data sets that's been collected probably over 10 years. And these historical data sets reflects the existing social and norms at the moment, which can actually perpetuate some biases and stereotypes. I'll give you another example. In the medicine world, it is very common to actually exclude women in a lot of medical tests. So that's why we may have some misdiagnosed or misrepresentation of cases for women. And take a heart disease, for example. And heart disease traditionally was thought of as predominantly male disease. And this has led to massive misdiagnosis and underdiagnosis of women in heart disease cases. So this is also quoting Meredith Broussard, and she is an AI expert, and she has written a couple of books on this subject. The biased intelligence system can't be fixed with better data alone. The change had to be societal. So generative AI is a mirror of our lives. And this is also something that we need to be aware of. When we're working for campaigns, we think about our stakeholders. We just have to make sure that generative AI is only learned within the period of that training, and which may exclude some of the stakeholders that you are working on. But the technology is here, and we are already using it. Another point that I'd like to touch on is also data analysis and measurement in PR. This is a topic that I'm very familiar with. So it has been said that the ability of AI to deal with massive amount of data, it should gives you a better ability and makes your PR measurement is more effective and more efficient. Now, That is true if and only if we combine all the data that is generated by generative AI. So that is all the news coverage, the social media conversations, could be the reviews, blog posts, etc. With other data sets that is generated by other AI tools, could be other AI tools, such as, could be customer data, your purchase spending habit, transactional data, your employees' data, and also research data. So if you have all of those data combined to form an integrated data view, so you have a holistic picture of the PR that you're trying to do, that you're trying to analyze. Because as we know, measuring PR impact needs more than just looking at news coverage and social media conversations. Measuring PR impact is a long-term goal. And that's why we need a proven framework such as the one that is developed by AMEC for us to actually link it back to the business goal, to the organizational goal, so that you can actually track it and to measure the real impact, which is very often includes all the data that is relevant to your about your stakeholders. So PR impact is measured by integrating data from AI tools with research data. So this is something that also that we need to be mindful of when we are measuring PR. So all of these are well and good. We know that generative AI is already taking part and doing some of our work. And we have to learn with it. What does it mean for us, for our profession? So we've seen before that they can do a better job at writing press releases, generating content, even coming up with some creative ideas. But we all know that that is not the only thing that we do in PR. There is only one part of PR professions that we do. There is another part of PR that makes up the heart and soul of PR, and that is human relationship. We form relationship when we engage with the communities. We form relationship when we engage with students, with our staff, with the media, with influencers, with policymakers, and these are all the stakeholders that we want to work on. And this is something that cannot be replicated by AI. So we live in this era where technology is everywhere and they continue to develop very, very fast at speed. And we need to embrace it. So embrace the technology and learn it. Learn it so you can optimize it to help you do your work better. But continue being human, because this is something that cannot be replaced or replicated by AI. So you all know Yuval Noah Harari in his book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Centuries. He actually predicted that many doctors will focus almost exclusively on processing information. They absorb medical data, analyze it, and produce diagnosis. Nurses, on the other hand, in contrast, need good motor and emotional skills. They give a painful injection to a child, replace a bandage, and restrain a violent patient, soothing a crying child. So therefore, we will probably have an AI family doctor on our smartphones decades before we have a reliable nurse robot. So, taking it to PR, as we've seen, there are two sides of PR, and one that can be taken over by technology, by AI, and they can do probably a better job, and they continue to to improve, but there is also the other side of PR that requires emotion, that requires that to build that relationship, that requires that human touch. And this is something that cannot be replicated and done. And I think Deborah also mentioned earlier that, you know, about having that judgment. And this is something that, you know, AI cannot actually do. So where is that going to take us? So for, you know, everyone here that is, you know, like studying PR, let the AI being the doctor, let the AI doing the doctoring. But for us, PR here, all the PR colleagues here, for us to continue, build that human touch and do the nursing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Felicia. Please remain on stage. I would like to invite Ms. Candy to conduct the question and answer session.
Thank you again, Ms. Felicia. That is like, we're coming into a very formal or very serious part of the AI thing, because Ms. Felicia did mention it's really scaring. Like, AI has taken over us, but is there any regulations that has been put to AI? Like, with the points on the medicine that you mentioned, there's rigorous testing, but now we've been embracing AI in our life and embracing it totally in our workplace. But my first question, Ms. Felicia, is there any ethical consideration, or how will we be able to regulate AI in our workplace, in our society?
Okay, if we talk about in the bigger term, I don't think I'm the best person to answer that in terms of regulations, but it doesn't stop you to have some kind of you know, regulations and continuous education within your work, within the place, you know, in the society, and basically to raise that awareness. It is there. It should. It's doing well at helping us doing work. So if we, you know, we become more efficient, etc. However, there are that risks that is involved. Because, I mean, as we know, the more data that we put in on the internet is the better the machine will learn. And that there is nothing stopping it. So they will continue to get better and better and get smarter. So, you know, I think in terms of when we're using generative AI for research, bearing in mind that, you know, there is a certain bias that can be produced using the data. You know, and we just have to be mindful. We have to be aware of all of this risk and trying to use it ethically. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, can we open the floor for the Q&A? We have someone here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Ms. Felicia. I'm Resti. I'm also the alumni LSPR batch 15. So I would like to ask you, AI-driven technology can also be used to identify trends, insight faster than ever before, helping organizations stay ahead of their competitions. And this saves time and allows PR professionals to focus on crafting a creative campaign that will engage their target audience. My question is, how can AI help measuring PR impact, especially with the media monitoring? It's going to helpful or riskier? Thank you.
Okay, good question. Thank you for the question. I touched on before, there are, when we talk about AI that we know it now, is referring to generative AI. So generative AI is basically generating new content based on all the historical data that we put in the internet, right? So it can analyze media monitoring only within that scope. So what that means is it can actually analyze text, it can analyze sentiment, everything that is there. However, for you to measure PR impact, it really depends what your communications or PR objective is, right? Because you need more than just looking at the news coverage. You need more than just looking at the social media conversations, right? So, you know, really depends the industry that you are working on. You may need additional data. You may need research data. Very often when we talk about PR impact, we're talking about change of behavior, change of attitude, raising awareness, measuring reputation. All of these must be done using additional data, for example, research data among the stakeholders, and all of these needs to be combined for you to get the real measure of PR impact. Yeah. Did that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Can we have one last question from the audience? Can I ask from the Ministry of SME representative?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Candy, for the time and opportunity. And first of all, I want to say thank you to Ibu Cindy as the president of ASEAN PR and to LSPR. And thank you to all the speakers for sharing such valuable knowledge in this event. My name is Adam Triazin Noor. I'm the communication expert for the Ministry of Cooperatives and SMEs of the Republic of Indonesia. So here's my question. We know that AI has a similar impact on both PR and SMEs, such as automations. AI help us make decisions based on data analysis, and it also assists in advertising and promoting business. So in Indonesia, is there any 64 million SMEs and coming from diverse social and educational backgrounds, and even significant disparities exist. So how do you think to educate and distribute the functions of AI tools equally and quickly among SME owners in Indonesia especially and ASEAN generally? Thank you.
That is a very good question. I try to answer it at best that I can. Okay, I think, yes, generative AI can help you to monitor, can analyze all the data that is on the internet. However, it cannot make a decision for you. And this is something that I think we need to be aware of. Again, I think decision making is something that is part of the human touch. That is something that we need to understand the context for us to be able to do that. How can we accelerate the education of this technology? Well, I think starting first with understanding what is the objective. What is the objective that you're trying to achieve? I'll give you an example. Similar, we work with a technology company during COVID. They are a mobile app, okay? So when they came here, then the COVID hit. So what they're trying to do is to facilitate all the vendors in traditional market. Jadi penjual-penjual yang di pasar tradisional, obviously their businesses were affected. So what this company was trying to do was trying to educate the vendors in traditional market how to use mobile app so they can start opening and selling from mobile app. So we did that, and few training and education in a few provinces. And in the end, we managed to train about over 1,000 vendors across Indonesia. Now, the measurement from that was, because we wanted to measure the impact. So we're not just looking at the numbers, we're not just looking at the data that was on the internet, but we measured, evaluate qualitatively. For most of these business vendors, there are a few things. The first impact, many vendors didn't even know how to use mobile phone. So that was an education for them. It was a milestone for them. And for those who already using smartphones, they didn't know how they can actually start selling using mobile phone. So for those who actually upgraded into, started selling using mobile phone, their businesses actually was higher, like 20% higher than when they were selling it in the market. So, and a lot of these, some of the impacts that we can actually use. And there was a quote by the minister, how this company is actually contributing towards mobilizing those who are affected the most, impacted the most by COVID. So that could be something that you can measure. So there's not, you don't only have to look at, the news and the social media. It really depends who your stakeholders are that you're trying to influence, and what is the social impact that you're trying to achieve. So, I mean, it really depends on the objective that you're trying to achieve. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Felicia. This concludes our session with you because we have one more speaker to go. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's give her another round of applause. And please remember, let's continue to be human while embracing AI. Back to you, Micah.
Thank you so much, Ms. Candy, and also Ms. Felicia, for a very, very insightful material that already delivered to all of us.